broadcast corridor in Detroit. It's the Metro. I'm Robyn Vincent.
And I'm Tia Graham. And it's our Fall On Air fundraiser here on WDET, but here during the Metro. And it means that we need you to support this program you're listening to, which once again is the Metro, with your gift of support at WDET.org/give or 800-959-9338. We have thank yous to get to from the last hour into this hour. I want to say thank you so much to Karen out of Grosse Pointe Park. Karen, thank you for your generous donation. She says public radio is one of our last hopes for truthful, unbiased news and promotes civility. And Karen, that's exactly what we're trying to do here at WDET, making sure that everyone feels heard and acknowledged here at WDET. Same thing for Anonymous in Ann Arbor. Thank you for your generous donation and your lovely note. Excellent local news and information, jazz, and NPR. That's exactly what we do here. Excuse me. At WDET and during the Metro. And we also want to say thank you to Anonymous in Detroit with a very beautiful note. I rely on WDET for diverse national news and cultural information. Morning edition, all things considered, fresh air, marketplace, the daily, on point, the treatment, the middle, you name it. They love it here from WDET. So if you love WDET, you love all the voices that you get to hear, including Liz Warner and Ryan Patrick Hooper and Jay Butler and Don Was. Donate at WDET.org/give or 800-959-9338. I'm excited, Robyn.
Tia, I'm excited too, because all of the comments that you just read from listeners who are now members or who are continuing their membership show us some shared values. And those values include community. They include journalism, democracy, culture, free speech. We know that's why you tune in to WDET. So we need you to help us get to our goal this hour of $1,500. We have a match on the table for $2,000. That's from our generous Leadership Circle members. And you can help us to meet our goal and join the Leadership Circle at the same time if you're to give $100 a month. And if that is not within your budget, we're also asking for you to give what is within your budget. Because you listen to and appreciate programs like the Metro, what you're listening to right now, the very best way to support us is to go to WDET.org or use the WDET app. Make a gift and leave us a comment. Tell us why you choose to support WDET.
And, we do have an incentive. So every donation made during the Metro today is an automatic entry into a drawing for a signed copy of Attack from Within: How Disinformation is Sabotaging America by Barbara McQuaid. And McQuaid has been a part of the Metro, has been a guest on the Metro multiple times, speaking with Robyn Vincent. But McQuaid was appointed by President Barack Obama to serve as U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan. So if you want to continue to have conversations or listen to conversations or be fulfilled by conversations like you'll hear from Barbara McQuaid and Robyn Vincent, donate at WDET.org/give. You can use the WDET mobile app and a human being will answer your call, 800-959-9338. During the fundraiser, we'll continue to bring you news and conversation that inform you, enrich your life, and connect you with the communities that you love. Work that our members helped create with their sustaining support.
And because your support makes it possible for us to dig into the issues that shape life here in Southeast Michigan, let's turn now to one of the biggest ones, the economy, and what it really feels like to run a small business in Metro Detroit right now. It's hard to get a firm picture of that, but we do have some numbers to put some paint on the canvas. Right now, the broad story is that the economy is doing well despite uncertainty from high tariffs. Corporate profits are strong. The jobless rate is 4.3%, and wages are rising. Now, in Detroit specifically, the unemployment rate fell to below 10%, dropping from 11% in 2024. And a new report says that gains are expected to be had here in the finance, leisure, hospitality, and public administration sectors. But as noted, difficulty is looming. An effective U.S. tariff rate at almost 16% is expected to hamper auto-related jobs. Now, many companies stockpiled goods to counteract the tariffs, and some businesses anticipate raising prices. What's more, companies are hiring much fewer people than they were 4 years ago. So what does this all mean for small businesses in our area? What does it look like to, say, own a coffee shop, a clothing store, or a small construction company in Metro Detroit right now? To discuss all that, we have Mark Lee with us. He's the president and CEO of the Lee Group, where he consults for small businesses. Mark, welcome back to the Metro.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So I'm wondering, Mark, how have tariffs impacted small businesses in Southeast Michigan?
Significantly. I mean, right now, tariffs are squeezing small businesses more than the larger businesses here in Detroit, in Metro Detroit. And the reason I say that is the big companies themselves can absorb costs or they can shift their suppliers. But small businesses often don't have that flexibility. So the tariffs, I think you mentioned 15 or 16%, those are hitting the small business owners directly. And again, they don't have that cash flexibility. They can't absorb that particular cost. So while I love your intro, which talked about how nationally things, appear to be looking up, but from a small business perspective, they are being hit hard. And in fact, here in southeastern Michigan, over the last several weeks, several small businesses have actually, in fact, closed.
Really? What exactly types of businesses are hurting most? What are the ones right now that you're seeing having to fold?
Pretty much what we're seeing are those that pretty much rely on imports, right? The import products. Sure. And those are products that are shipped overseas. They come into Metro Detroit. They're picked up, obviously, on the coast, and they're shipped to your destination here in Detroit. And what we're seeing is someone has to pay that 15 or 16% import tax, for lack of a better phrase. And so short-term, small businesses doing it. So specifically, what businesses or industries are being impacted? We're seeing the retail sector, restaurants are being hit significantly here. The apparel, clothes, also being hit. So if you're selling clothes, if you have a retail shop in that space, a lot of those clothes are coming from overseas. They're being hit significantly. The electronics industry is another one. We've been hearing a lot about cell phones and other mobile technology, but a lot of those parts are certainly manufactured overseas, over in China and other destinations. That particular industry is being hit hard. And here in Detroit, obviously, manufacturers. Yeah. The automotive industry, one of the fortunate things with the automotive industry is that the large employers, again, they have the cash reserves, so they can absorb some of that cost increase. But those sectors are the ones that are really being impacted and feeling the most pain.
Yeah, that's hard to hear, Mark, because we know that small business owners have to undergo so much hustle and have to have so much grit to stay resilient, to make it. And so to hear that this is tariffs specifically are taking them out, that's a tough pill to swallow. I wonder what kinds of small businesses are able to weather the storm right now easier. Which ones are in a more comfortable place?
I think the ones, quite frankly, that are focused have that diversification of the product lines, all right? But in terms of from an industry perspective, any service industry would most likely be somewhat resilient. So what am I referencing? I'm referencing specifically healthcare services. If you have a healthcare service-related small business, because healthcare will always be in demand. We always need some type of healthcare, and they can be somewhat resilient. Anything, quite candidly, in the technology space can be somewhat resilient. So if you have a business that's providing, for example, technology services to other small businesses, to larger businesses such as manufacturers, again, you're going to be somewhat resilient. The ones I'm most concerned about are the ones that are more traditional, right? The traditional retail store that we just talked about a few moments ago. But if you have a business that's somewhat diversified in the electronic space, in the technology space, and in the healthcare space, chances are you can withstand some of this.
Okay, so that is one thing that you're telling businesses is if there is any way for you to diversify what you're offering, that's going to give you a better chance for survival. What else are you telling them right now?
I'm telling them right now, make sure you need to continue to look at other suppliers. Right? If you can identify suppliers from other countries that are not subject to the import tax, you need to think about doing that. Also think about identifying local suppliers. Some other businesses are here in Detroit, Metro Detroit, for example, and work directly with them. The challenge is, Robyn, we're talking about, you're talking about changing a paradigm, changing a mindset. So you're talking about shifting something where we're comfortable in. So from a business perspective, they don't know how to handle that. They don't know how to negotiate those different strategies. So it's a challenge to go out and try to move your business around, identify different types of suppliers, whether they're locally based or if they're coming from other countries that are not going to be subject to the import tax. Keep in mind, the city of Detroit, we have over 62,000 small businesses. This is why this conversation is important. We have over 62,000 small businesses according to the U.S. Census data. If you assume that each one employs anywhere from 1 to 3 people, you're talking anywhere from 60 to nearly 200,000 jobs. Just let that sink in. And so to go back to your question, I would implore business owners to exhaust every possible avenue, every possible strategy that's going to enable them to get through these tough times or these economic uncertainty times that we're currently in.
And Mark, as you're talking about the broad and deep economic impacts, this is also making me think about folks on the other side of things. And by that, I mean, I always shy away from describing people as consumers. So I'm just going to say this makes me think of residents, of people who have some buying power. And I'm guessing that something that you advocate for is when you need something, interrogating within yourself, is there a local business I could support instead of, say, going the easiest route, the route of least resistance, let's say, to Amazon? Instead, it's about asking yourself, who could I support locally who might be able to provide this good or service for me?
I think that's great advice and counsel. Buy local. It's so easy right now to go to Amazon. It's so easy to go to these other major online retailers to get whatever you need. But it's okay to drive, to get in your car. Right? I guarantee you there are several small businesses within a 2-mile radius, a 1-mile radius, a 5-mile radius, simply looking for your support. In Detroit, we're fortunate. We're a metropolitan area of 5 million people. We have a lot of people here. We have a lot of businesses here. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is spend your money with local businesses, if at all possible. I put my money where my mouth is. I have been going to the same small businesses since I've been back in Detroit since 1996. I have been going to the same businesses since the time I moved back to the city. And I'm proud to advocate for that. All of the listeners out there, I would encourage you to support as many small businesses that you can, because if you don't, at the end of the day, a lot of these businesses are going to be grappling with growth and sustainability moving forward over the next several months.
My guest is Mark Lee. He's the president and CEO of the Lee Group, where he consults for local businesses. We're discussing how small businesses are doing in the current economy. But we're also discussing our economy, the WDET local economy, and that's because it's our fall on-air fundraiser.
That is right, Robyn. And during our on-air fall fundraiser, we're asking a lot of folks, to step up and become members of WDET with a generous donation at WDET.org/give. You can use the WDET mobile app. It is super easy. Or you can call someone if that's easier for you at 800-959-9338. But we do have a goal of $1,500 this hour, and one monthly subscriber, one monthly sustainer who bumps their gift up to $100 per month will cover us. So we know you're out there. We know you can do it. We're talking to you. Go ahead and donate at WDET.org and give a little extra love here to the Metro during our on-air fall fundraiser. But we want to say thank you to Peter out of, I want to say this right, Kalispell, Montana.
Kalispell, you got it pretty much.
Right. Kalispell, Montana. Thank you so much, Peter, for your generous donation and becoming a member member of Team DET. Want to say thank you to Anna in Ann Arbor for your generous donation and your lovely message. I trust the journalism. That's all we really want to hear. You trust the journalism. And we want to say thank you to Anonymous out of Detroit with this beautiful message. I am inspired by Robyn's reporting on the Metro. Hope everyone listening gives what they can, from funds to sharing with their friends and family. And honestly, Anonymous, that's the biggest thing. If you can't give a donation, make sure you're sharing us with your neighbors, telling them who we are and what we represent and what we stand for here in the community, because it matters to have fact-based news and journalists and conversations that you can trust. So donate at wdet.org/give. Give us a call, 800-959-9338. And once again, you can go on over to wdet.org/give. Your gift will help us continue to bring the most well-informed guests to keep you informed.
Metro co-host Tia Graham, bringing the fire, bringing the passion, always.
Fashion too, thank you.
Yeah, you're always bringing the fashion, that's for sure. I'm Robyn Vincent. My guest is Mark Lee. He's the president and CEO of the Lee Group, where he consults for local businesses. We're discussing how small businesses are doing in the current economy. Mark, there are a lot fewer hires happening these days. Yeah. It is a much tighter job market than it has been in a while. And a lot of people are using AI to send out their resumes. If a company does need to hire, but they don't know whether a resume is real or fake and don't have that much time to sift through all the applications, what do you advise they do? Because this feels like it's becoming more of an issue. I mean, I've noticed that some companies will even put like a warning on job postings, like, please refrain from using the AI.
Right. Well, you raised a good point. First of all, there's a new phrase that's just been coined. It's called labor recession. And what that simply means during these challenging times, there are a lot more people out there looking for work than jobs. And this is a direct result of the tariffs. So people are clamoring to find a job, but all the jobs are not out there. So back to your question, so therefore it's called a recession labor. Go back to your original question about what should companies do in terms of this era of AI and technology. That's a great question. That's a tough one. I think that organizations need to go back and thoroughly understand how AI can be used by individuals in the job hunting process. I think that organizations need to train and retrain themselves and understand how artificial intelligence, can certainly drive what people might be submitting to the organization. There are technologies that they can put in place. There are technologies or safeguards that businesses can put in place to determine whether or not something was generated by AI. We were not. But not many people know that. So I would implore businesses to go out, understand technology that will help them sift through these AI-generated, resumes, for lack of a better phrase. But it's going to require a re-education and an understanding of the technologies out there that can help you sift through this information.
Of course, Mark, we also have to look at the opposite side of the business, those who need to get hired. How do you recommend they punch through all the noise and get heard in an application process where a lot of people are hiring? The folks who are hiring are not even reading applications and maybe just scanning or using AI, looking for certain metrics and language.
Great question. And I always tell people, even before the technology really started to continue to expand, and you would send a resume in, it would seem like it would go into a black hole, if you will. Here's the real deal. Let me just cut to the chase. The power of the network. Use your network. 70%, 80% of the jobs are found through the network. These are people that you know. These are people, if you're involved in an organization, if you have connections, I encourage people, don't just sit back all day and submit your resume to technology, because you're still going to go into a black hole. Okay, organizations are going to say, we're going to respond to you. I was just reading an article before this interview this morning where someone has applied for 80 positions over the last 2 years.
Oh, my gosh.
Using technology has never received one rejection letter, right? Not one point of communication that basically says, thanks for your resume type of thing. Let that sink in. So the bottom line is, make sure that you leverage your network. Don't just sit around all day. One thing technology has been able us to do is to reach out and expand our network. Use it. Use a LinkedIn, for example. I don't necessarily can endorse particular products, but that's an example of a service that you can take advantage of. If I can just digress for 1 second, if you don't mind.
Of course.
I'm also the vice president of the Society of Professional Journalists. And I want to go back and what you said about your fundraiser. And someone said they trust journalism. I want to pour all your listeners out there, and I've been doing Detroit media for a long time. Make a donation. Please make a donation to WDET. This is a very powerful station, and they do give you the truth. I want to make sure I got that out there for you.
Thank you, Mark. We're a powerful station only because of our members. We're only as powerful as the people who are helping to keep our signal strong, quite literally. So thank you for making that note. And you can go to WDET.org right now to show your support for conversations like this, for the fearless journalism, the thoughtful journalism, the culture, the arts that we're bringing to you each and every day. And Mark, before we let you go here, considering everything that's happening in the economy, from high tariffs to hiring freezes, but also higher wages, what are your biggest concerns right now for small businesses if you had to sum it up?
My biggest concern is sustainability and growth. At the end of the day, how many of these small businesses are going to survive? How many are going to survive? The other challenge is going to be a lot of these small businesses have pre-stocked their inventory, in anticipation of the tariffs. So the bottom line is, once they run out of that pre-stocked tariff inventory, the reality is going to set in. And the reality is very simply this. What are they going to do that increase in the cost? Are they going to eat the cost? Can they afford to eat the cost? Are they going to pass it on to the consumer? So the bottom line, from my perspective, is long-term sustainability and growth is really the biggest challenge moving forward, and whether or not these businesses will stay afloat.
Mark Lee is the president and CEO of the Lee Group. Mark, thank you so much for joining me on the Metro. And thank you for reminding listeners about the importance right now of giving to WDET during our fall fundraiser.
My pleasure. Thank you. And count me in, by the way.
Thanks, Mark.
This is the Metro during our on-air fall fundraiser. Just heard an amazing conversation between Robyn Vincent and Mark Lee, president and CEO of the Lee Group, about small businesses and how the economy is impacting them right now. So if you want to donate to WDET to continue these strong conversations from folks like Mark Lee and Robyn Vincent, donate at WDET.org/give. Use the WDET mobile app or give us a call, 800-959-9338. And thank you. We'll be right back here on the Metro.